Hi everyone. So for those of you who don't know me or don't remember me, my name's Suzanne and I'm a director of the company Bilingual Solutions Limited, which is based in London, and I work predominantly either on language acquisition or on providing services that involve a language, such as translation, executive support, and so on. So today, as arranged, I am going to chat to you about the most useful English idioms. And first of all, obviously, we need to know what an idiom is. And idioms exist in every language, as far as I'm aware anyway. And so you probably have a lot of examples in your own language, if English isn't your mother tongue, and most of you in the group don't have English as a mother tongue. An idiom is basically a group of words that are used to describe a particular viewpoint, situation, whatever. There's all sorts of idioms for different things, but often it creates an image, so it's not a literal meaning. So one of my favourites, let's start with one of my favourites, is the straw that broke the camel's back. So that's an English idiomatic expression which basically means the last problem before you kind of broke down or cried or lost your mind or got angry. So it's very much the very last thing that happened before that kind of set you off. And I know that that's a typical idiom used in English, which has equivalents in different languages. So for example, in French it is la goutte qui a fait déborder la vase, which in English, for those of you who don't understand, means the drop that made the vase overflow. So it's very much kind of a similar visual expression and a similar image that's created, albeit with different words and different imagery. So that's what we're talking about when we talk about idioms, and the fact that they are present in every language. So historically, idioms have come about often through culture, different experiences, or the way that people led everyday lives. So I can't explain where the camel and the straw came from, or the vase and the drop of water, but if I give you another example, which is also an English idiom, which is to be the apple of someone's eye, which is a declaration of how much somebody loves someone. That comes from Shakespeare's Midsummer Night's Dream. So a lot of idioms have roots in culture and literature. So that's another one of my favourites. But I was asked to talk today about what the most useful English idioms are. And useful is often dependent on what kind of situation we're in. So I've decided to focus on business, since a few of you follow the group for business reasons, and I thought that might be the most useful. I am having a cup of tea as well for tea time. So the ones for business, you can use them in other scenarios, of course, as well. It doesn't have to be a business scenario. So I've got a few here, and I'll kind of go through them one by one. One of my favourites, I've got a few favourites, haven't I? One of my favourites is to bite the bullet. That has a medical root, in actual fact. The root of that particular idiom is years and years ago, obviously not too recently, I hope, but instead of pain medication, people undergoing certain surgery would be given a lot of whiskey to drink and a bullet to bite on, something that, that they could bite down on for the pain. So we've kept the expression to bite the bullet, And when is it currently used in English? It's used to say that you're going to go ahead with something. So, for example, I was thinking about creating the Get Ahead in English group for some time, and then I bit the bullet. I bit the bullet and I went ahead with it. Hi, Anne-Laure. Anne-Laure's connected to the chat right now, so just saying hello. I can't see who else is connected at the moment, but welcome, Anne-Laure. So yeah, bite the bullet, that's that one. You can use that in a business sense, or obviously in a personal scenario as well. Let's go through some more for business. So there's a couple to do with the word cut, actually. So to cut something, literally, like with scissors. Which one is cut your losses. So let's say, you know, a business deal is going wrong and you're going to pull out. You're going to stop the deal. You may lose money, and that's why we call it cutting your losses. So that's, again, it's quite a simple one. There's no big historical explanation, but it's commonly used, and it is visual. Literally speaking, we are not cutting any losses. So that's why we call it an idiom. Another one with the word cut is cutthroat. So I don't know for sure where this comes from, but I'm presuming it's something to do with having a close shave. I'm not sure, but cutthroat describes somebody who's ruthless. So it might not be a close shave, it might be something a bit more morbid, but anyway, we'll move on. A couple of interesting ones are to have your foot in the door and to get the ball rolling. So when you have your foot in the door, you have a connection at a company, you might be you might know people there, you've got a connection, so we say that you have your foot in the door, and that creates a very visual, you can all imagine what that looks like. And it's not literally that the person has their foot in the door, but they've got an in, they can enter the business, and they know people and they think it's going to go well. It's a positive expression. The other one I mentioned just now was to get the ball rolling. So you may have a project, and you want to kind of begin the project, so it's very much to kickstart. That's another idiomatic phrase. So to kickstart or get the ball rolling on a project is to begin it. When everything goes wrong, we would say in English that something has gone down the drain. So if you don't know what a drain is, it's to do with sewage, wastewater. You find them in the streets if you're not sure about that vocabulary. And when we say something has gone down the drain, then it's not gone very well, has it? So it's not a good one. Hi, Virginie. I see Virginie's now connected as well. Nice to have you here. What else do we talk about in business? So when you have to put in extra effort, in English we say to go the extra mile. So miles, as hopefully you know, is the measure of distance that we use in English. It's quite archaic now. Many places use kilometers, and kilometers is what everybody uses in other countries in Europe. So yeah, we talk about going the extra mile. So it's making the extra effort, going the extra distance. So hopefully that's quite explanatory, self-explanatory. When there's a grey area, it means something's undecided. So it's neither white nor black, but it's in between. That expresses indecision. When something is up in the air, there's also an element of indecision. You don't know what's happening next. So imagine just a ball up in the air. That's the image that's created. You're not sure which way it's going. So it's very kind of a visual expression. To do something under the table is to do something that's perhaps unethical or maybe illegal. could also be illegal. That's obviously, again, we're very much in the visual. And if you do something under the table, the idea behind it is that people can't see. So that's why it means something that's unethical or perhaps illegal. You may have heard, actually, because if some of you work internationally, there's a very common modern phrase that's used, which is touch base. Touch base, I believe, comes from sports, so perhaps baseball, which obviously we see a lot of in the United States, you know, not necessarily in England, but a lot of popularity there. And in international business, people talk about touching base a lot, which means to get in contact with each other and, you know, have an update, basically. So that's to touch base. So let's touch base on Tuesday, for example. The next one is when the writing is on the wall. So again, we're back to, you know, we're very much in the visual. It's an idiom. There is no writing on the wall, but people say the writing is on the wall when they want to say that something is very obvious, that a particular outcome is very obvious. And so if they think that a lot of money is going to be made through something, or if something will go disastrously, then they might say the writing's on the wall. They know what the outcome is. Okay, well, that's a little roundup of some idiomatic phrases in English that may or may not, but hopefully will be useful for you in a business context. I posted some other ones on the chat, didn't I? And one of them was the 10 most common dog expressions in English. So there's quite a good one there for business, which is to be the top dog. So being the top dog is the dog who leads everything. So the manager, the boss, the person in a position of authority. Another one that's great there, business and personal usage, is to let sleeping dogs lie. So you don't wake up a sleeping dog. The idea behind that is that you don't bring up things from the past, or you don't provoke a future argument with somebody if it's already been discussed. So just leave it where it is. That's the theory behind that one. I am going to leave you with, it's a bit of a morbid one. I'm going to leave you with two. One is to kick the bucket, which means to pass away, to die. And in English, we that's an expression that's existed for a few years. And I think it has its roots in hanging. So when people used to be executed and by hanging, that's a bit of a morbid one, and I apologise for that. But it is quite a common idiomatic expression, to kick the bucket. And I believe that that's where the origin of the term bucket list has come from. So today, you may have heard about this. People talk a lot about my bucket list, so things that I would like to achieve before I pass away. So in the rest of my life, I would like to achieve the following things. So people write about, you know, people mention things to do with travel or business ambitions or personal ones on their bucket list. Okay, so finally, less morbid, is call it a day. So I am going to call it a day now with you. It's been a pleasure talking to you. Hello, Costanza. I see that you've joined us too as well. It's been an absolute pleasure. I hope you've enjoyed learning a little bit more about English idiomatic phrases. Feel free to leave your comments or any questions, or let me know if I wasn't speaking clearly enough, or you'd like me to speak slower, explain things better to you. I'm more than happy to do that. I plan to go live on the group again in 2 weeks' time, when I'm going to be talking to you about Cockney rhyming slang, which is a personal favourite of mine as a topic. Really interesting slang language that originates in London. So I'm very excited about sharing that with you. In the meantime, keep learning English, and let me know if there's anything you need help with. Take care and see you in a couple of weeks' time. Bye.